fun.
What?
That's fun.
What?
My little strap. Can you just let me talk to myself while I'm recording?
I didn't realize you were recording.
Okay.
I won't bother you anymore. Should I hear the music now?
No, it's fine. I'm probably gonna do a voiceover anyways. My camera has a mic, which I can use the recording from, but I mean not if there's background noise. But I'll probably feels too self-conscious to talk anyways. There's a little spot on this page.
What?
Look at this little spot. Discoloration. There's coloration here too. Okay. So, these are why the sketchbook is so popular. It's just because it's a perfect square, so it's good for Instagram. That's genuinely one of the selling points of this. It has a hardcover. It has heavyweight paper, 122 pounds. High quality materials, but fairly cheap. And it says 100 inches squared of drawing space because it's extra large. I think I just got the big one. So this book is supposed to have like 100 pages or something very big in it or something like that. But normally I draw this, which is a much smaller like amount of pounds. It's 18 pounds, which is 70 grams. And it's only 50 sheets and it's 9 by 12. And I usually pull the sheet out because it's not really like, you can't keep it in a book, you just kind of pull all the sheets out. So like this is separate and this, and I just keep them kind of stacked together. So I've created lots of different things. Very bright colors, and it blends pretty well. So I've done a lot of practice art on these pages. And this is one of my mermaids on this page. Do I have any more pages? Even more pages down here. Still need to finish this. Here are more mermaids. More mermaids. This is pretty old, but it's some drafts. And then this is a little elephant that I did from my last YouTube video. Then I also have other marker papers besides just this one. I also have, this is my very first marker paper, and this says Crescent on it, but I don't know what company that is. But these are very old drawings from when I first got like Prismacolor markers. So my main problem with this paper is not something I would have really realized. So like this is my first sketch of Copics, and I tried to draw myself as a firebender. I mean, I was like 15. But I think I didn't know at the time how much they kind of like bled on the page. Because I've drawn with them on in this marker book more recently on this page. And like this is where I realized that these this one like absorbs a lot of marker. It just kind of like sucks it up. But you can blend pretty well. Like the blending is good in this book. This weird crescent book that I got with my first Prismacolors. As opposed to this book where it's like got a kind of a thin waxy surface. And I think that's also pretty good for blending. But like the marker kind of like sits on top. This is definitely like a special kind of paper, different kind of paper. And then I have some more examples. Some more examples of marker paper. Like this little piece of marker paper that I got in one of those like random boxes. It was the let's see, sketchbox. So I got one of those a while ago. I got a few of them from someone gifted me some, and so that's where I got these Copics, and then a few other like random stuff. And this is a nice paper. It's more like what is it? Let's see, 50-pound paper, 190 gram per meter squared. I don't know what those mean. I just know that a higher amount of pounds is like better, tends to be better for markers, unless it's got like a special coating on it. It's July sketchbox from probably a couple of years ago. I don't know. And I drew this with that and these. And this was drawn in these like little clown mermaids were drawn with a different type of marker. And I also kind of want to acknowledge like this type of marker, just like a watercolor marker. So that's pretty different from the rest of the kind of marker paper I've been talking about is alcohol based, like good for alcohol based markers, but these are watercolor based markers and I like using them sometimes. And because it's like pretty thick, it's good for those too. I wonder how the watercolor stuff shows up on this paper, or the water markers show up on this paper. Let me just do a test. It's so smooth and waxy. I almost feel like they're gonna like slide off. So I don't think they'd rip this paper up as much, which is kind of nice. And then there's last, but certainly not least, there's Strathmore mixed media. I have this one in this extra big size to show to the camera, but I probably should have gotten out my like little pieces also to show to the camera, because this is just the only one that I have that's empty, because I like this paper so much that it's what I have used for like all my other, I'll just go get them. I'll just go get my other things. Okay, I came back with a better example of the Strathmore mixed media book from a few years ago to show that I really like using them for a reason. So this is from December 2018. I used to try to do those kind of like intro pages, but I was always so afraid of messing them up that like I never finished them. But there are some really good examples of like me using different art mediums in this. So this is Posca pen, because I got this for Christmas, and I also got Posca pens for Christmas. Like this is a little Christmas ornament. Oh, I like this one a lot. So I liked Posca pen in this book. It's perfectly good for that. It tore up the page a little bit, like you can see these little fine pieces, and it's like pretty textured, but it worked pretty well. But then I also used watercolor on it, so this picture is half in watercolor and half in Posca pen. Because it's like blending from like cartoon to like, I was trying to draw a really realistic draft. Probably from the same phase as when I had those other drafts that I drew in the other notebook. Let's see, I did a few different pictures that were like both Posca and New Year art goals. Let's see, pirate. Oh, this isn't gouache. is a good example of how this paper does things pretty good. Different types of art's pretty good because these are a couple different drawings in gouache. I really like this one. I don't like this one so much, but this one's good. And then this, where I was trying to draw myself like a little bedroom, is done in these watercolor markers and I think micron pens. So I just like how this paper works with all the different types of like art mediums. Oh, this one's really good. This is the swatch page for the Tombow watercolor markers and some micron stuff and some blending that I did. I don't know if I could probably do better blending on these pages than this, but like this is my Cyclops character, and some other characters, and some like cute little cartoons. Yeah, these are, oh, I just kind of want to show you this more closely, camera. I just think these are fun. These are like lots of little tiny cartoon characters that I made. Okay, this isn't supposed to be a sketchbook tour. Okay, this is showing that all these different types of notebooks are what I've used before, and I like them a lot. And so I want to know how this ILLO sketchbook does in comparison to all of my normal notebooks. It's also supposed to lie down very flat is another thing that people like about it, I guess. So make sure everything's in frame. And I'm gonna draw something for Mermay, I guess, because I've been trying to do that. And I'm on day like 15, so I'm halfway through the month, so that's pretty good. I was gonna do pixel art for today's Mermay, but I guess I can do my new sketchbook. Maybe I can do something interesting with like all my watercolor pens, assuming that they work in this notebook, because I have literally tried nothing in this notebook yet. And I skipped the first page because I'm afraid of touching it. Let's see. Let's try out some stuff to swatch in the big new notebook. 15 May 21. Okay. I also don't know if I'm gonna need to put sheets of paper. With most of my other notebooks, I do tend to put sheets of paper, especially with this like thin Canson paper. I put sheets of paper between pages that I'm like drawing in, and people, I don't know, seem to, like, I think a big factor people seem to have in like when they're getting notebooks is whether or not you need to put sheets of paper in between the notebook and the surface, like the page below it. And for me, like, that's not a problem. Like, I have plenty of extra sheets of paper. I'd rather just put the sheet of paper between the notebook pages than have, like, I'd rather that factor not be important as to whether or not, like, I feel like I can draw on the paper. I just don't really care about it. Like, I'll just get a piece of paper as long as the paper is good for drawing on. Okay, so I've colored here a lot over this one surface. It's gotten a little grainy. It did tear up the page a little bit, but I did add a lot. I kind of messed up my blending there. But then I like blended this out. Can I do this still? No, this dried. I give up. I give up on that. Ooh.
There's a baby.
So baby.
Little baby Boo.
Kitty baby. No plans, just drawing. So, since I don't have any plans, I'm just gonna draw something out. In various colors. I feel like I have found where I want to go with this. I'm using pink for the skin tone for now. I might change it. But I have very limited amounts of skin tones in this particular box. Okay, it's a little bit too pastel maybe. Don't know what's going on here with that. How about pink fins? Don't know about that. Don't know about that mermaid. How about like a blue tail? I feel like this blue is too different. How about this color? Maybe I can use that instead. We just don't have a lot of contrast in this whole like set of pastels. I guess I'll just have to give one the contrast. Unless I give it a red tail so I can have like... Listen to that squeak. For some reason now I like the idea of her having a striped shirt. Maybe... Okay, I have an idea now. I think I have somewhere to go with this. Somewhere to go. And that is stripes on her body and like shirt that she's wearing. So she can be wearing like a striped shirt and then also have like some fun stripes on her body area. And I think that'll look fun. Like she's striped, so she's wearing some stripes because she's like, I'm cool. But I think I might have limited myself maybe a little too much with the color, so I think I might do this in Copic markers after all.
No.
Copic. Okay. I did like it more, this shirt, where she was like one color and then striped arms. So I think I'm gonna do that. But this is like the vibe. I gave up on the purple. Purple wasn't doing it for me. I guess I could use it to like shade this tiny drawing. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with like a more of a broad brush now. I'm thinking she's kind of like e-girl. Maybe I should draw this pose before I mean. Should I do something like this? That's kind of fun. Okay, so I'm thinking like she's leaning up against her fin. Might not have really given myself enough space for this. How does this take to erasing? It's fine. It's very smooth. It's like quite smooth paper. I don't think it would be great for like watercolors, but I would like to try gouache on it. Because it's definitely similar. I'm definitely feeling the like Strathmore mixed media vibes. It's a similar kind of paper, sort of. It's like similar, it's even smoother though. I do think, what was the weight of this? It was 122 pounds versus my like normal Strathmore sketchbooks being 117. So, you know, that's interesting. Maybe she'll have her hand behind her head since I can't seem to draw it directly on her. The sketch is very messy. Okay, now her pose just looks tired. I think I'm gonna go with that. This up here in the corners dried pretty smoothly. Definitely want her to have like just woke up vibes now, because I feel like that's kind of where she's coming from. She's like just woke up. I'm not sure what to do with this hand, which currently looks kind of like a paw. Okay, I need to stop working at her face at some point and work on like this other half of the body. I should probably weigh this down or something. I'll just cast a shadow. There we go. I just don't like how that casts a shadow. Sometimes I smudge them a little. I don't know, I'm like I just draw pretty harshly and with entirely mechanical pencil that like shows up really hard lines. I drew with these like very thin fins in this little sketch, which I like the idea of because she's gonna be so striped. I should probably kind of sketch in like where her stripes are gonna go, because I want stripes like on her sleeves, but not necessarily on not necessarily on like the rest of her shirt, I mean. I hope I can keep like a just woke up vibe because I feel like I'm straying a little from it in this like. I do like doing mermaids with lots of thickness. It's very like blobby, which the problem with that is that her shirt's very like angular. I have to change something. I don't know if I should change her shirt. The concept was alright-ish, but in execution, I just don't know what to do. Okay. I stepped away, and now I'm back to figure out. I mean, not to figure it out, but to just draw this because I don't know what else to do. I'm not quite happy with it. I'm just gonna do it though. Who needs to be happy with things when you can just draw? I have been doing color a lot recently before the line art. So this is new. I wonder if I'm getting my head in the frame. I guess I won't be able to tell. There's a fine line between like tired and just straight up distressed. She might just look sad at the end of this. Or like she's holding under her head because she has a headache. She's supposed to be like messing up her hair up here. I'm afraid I made my heart. Ugh, I'm ruining that. I'm just so like out of practice doing line art with the pen on paper. Which is funny because I like doing it a lot. I'm just like, I never do finished pieces. That looks a little odd. I was trying to make her like shirt kind of look like smoother to kind of match how her fins are gonna look because the stripes ended up so like wibbly wobbly, and I don't think pointy stripes will work either. I think they have to be this kind of wobbly thing, but it just won't match these like rectangles that I've put on her arms. So I don't know. I've also like, I think I've caused an issue putting her arm right here because it's like this half human and this half is just like a mermaid. And maybe it's too like visually disjointed, I guess. I think certainly if I had been trying to go for that effect, maybe it would have been more clear if I was like trying it. I have messed up. It's like, I really like that pink. It's a little bit more muted down. And then I can just go in with like, here's a problem is they're now like so thin that it's like, even if they're striped, they're kind of like... Should her hair be striped? Should everything be striped? I just don't know. Let me find a nice skin tone. This is a fine skin tone. That'll go with everything else. Can I draw down here? Okay. Okay, if I just draw down here, this and this. And we'll fill in her shirts this nice pink color. I decided the things were a little too exposed on the camera. Which might be like this brown? I don't know, it's still not like super great. And like the more I do, the more I'm concerned it will bleed. I mean, like I said, I'll just put a piece of paper in between the pages if it bleeds. But like that's a super nice bright red. I'm just gonna maybe use the brown to like, I guess blend it. I don't know. It's just not blending super well. I guess that this looks pretty smooth down here. So I think I can get it flat enough. It's just gonna be a big space because I think I'm just gonna go over this tail with red and then put this like wine color on top for the stripes. I also considered I could use gray for the stripes. I haven't used gray anywhere else in this picture, but I could like use it for some shading. If I'm gonna use wine in the hair, maybe I can see if I can use gray on top of that. That wine color. Oh yeah, see this bled through. These are big spots. Okay. I'll get my in-between paper. Where are you, Mr. In-between paper? We'll just kind of stick it on the side of the page since that's where I've been drawing. Oh, sorry. This page. Okay. Still worried that this isn't dry. Always have the problem of coloring too quickly. Okay. Now I'd like to go in and ruin this picture. Right now. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm just gonna do it. Because I can. I'm just gonna go in with my reds straight off the bat, the dark reds. Just do all of these areas that are gonna be like this whole tail. We're just gonna go in first with a bold and bright red. And we're gonna not color it in between the lines, apparently. Because it's been 10 seconds and I've already colored outside the lines. But it's fine. We're just gonna try our best. We try our best with the information we've been given. Slash the lines that we've drawn. I'm just gonna leave that other half of the tail and start with the like blending on this side because you don't want alcohol markers to like draw. So when I'm doing big sections of ombre, I always start with like one side. super worried about the places I've gotten outside the line so far because they're mostly just on the fin. And the fins are going to be colored in as well. There's also the bonus that all of this is going to be covered in stripes, and I'm hoping that the stripes will kind of any shoddy blending the stripe should hopefully cover up. I mostly really just don't want to draw on my hands. Okay. This first half of the tail's not too bad. Some of it ended up editing the other parts, but it's fine. Coloring, let's write the lines again because I am a child. That's what happens when you start drawing with Copic markers a lot and you get used to like their brush tips, which do really help. But then you also have a bunch of markers that don't have brush tips. So you've got to remember how to use them, despite them not having brush tips. I'm just having chunky thick tips and thin tips. The reason I'm not using the thin tips is because I'm going to be doing like a lot of blending. And the thin tips obviously don't put down as much like marker juice. So I'm trying to use as much of like the thick tips as possible. So much blending. Okay, probably used up more marker than I should have on this in terms of like actual marker juice. Especially seeing as I'll just be going over a lot of stripes. Okay, back to something less intense, I guess. Just gonna color the whole thing in pink and then add the stripes on in the darker red afterwards. I will say, when I was younger and I wanted Copic markers and like these fancy brush markers, and I got Prismacolor markers, I thought that I could never blend with the Prismacolor markers as well as I would be able to with the Copic markers. But that's not really accurate. As you can like even tell just looking at this, like it's I mean, I'm not saying I'm the best blender in the world, but I would say it's pretty decently blended. There's definitely some harsh corners, but There's a lot of smooth transitions in that, and that I'm happy with. I'm happy I did get to a point where I could do that before I got the Copic markers. I didn't even pick a secondary skin color. I have like a tan that goes pretty well with this beige, I think. Yeah, so the tan's a lot darker, but as long as I put down the beige and then like blend it out, I think this usually turns out pretty well. I should probably also find like a blush color that works with these. I think this like light pink will be fine. Well, I have a blush. Where's my blush? Where is my blush marker? This is my blush. My proper blush marker, which is almost the same color as that other one that I put down a second ago. Nope, wrong marker. Almost fucked that up. Completely. It does look like my Copic's picked up a little bit of the ink that's on my nose. So that's unfortunate. I hate when it discolors the tip of my marker. Okay, I don't know how much I lost, but it's fine, I'll live. My camera shut off while I was recording. So I don't know how much like date I lost. Good drawing time I lost. And then, what are some other things I can do? I'd like to make her fins yellow. This yellow. Or this yellow. We got Y21 and YR31. I feel like light reddish yellow looks better. I don't know, they're very similar. In my sketch I do these pink. Oh well. Maybe I'll make pink stripes on them. Okay, I will be brave and strong and draw on this part of the picture that I'm afraid to draw on.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm gonna ruin it.
Something you need, K Candy?
Okay, so I came back for the whole day and I wanted to make a little update on my thoughts, just in case, I guess, anybody else on YouTube don't know if they could trust the big YouTubers. Here's someone who's just a small person out there who doesn't draw maybe as much as a lot of people. And so I just wanted to make this because and I'm sure many other people have been wondering if like these like ILLO, ILLO, or ELO. Whenever I say ELO, I always think of like the video game thing, so sorry. Sketchbooks are like worth it, I guess. I drew a few more like little drawings, and obviously these are all in marker, so they're, you know, not a good representation of what like gouache or watercolor or something like that might be like in this notebook. Like watercolor probably wouldn't be that great, but it's usually not. in like maybe like smoother paper, or at least it tends to be a little different, but I'm sure gouache would work really well on this. So I would just say that, like, in comparison to the papers that I've used before, it is very, very similar to like this one that I mentioned, that's this Strathmore mixed media notebook. And I did look up the prices, and I think I'll have put the prices at the beginning of the video, but just this Strathmore mixed media notebook is 48 sheets, and my big one is 40 sheets, and it's 11, my big 11 by 14 one is like 40 sheets, and the 40 sheet, like really big one, is $30. And I know the 9 by 12 is about $20. This isn't 9 by 12, it's much smaller. It's like 5.5 by 8.5, but you can guess it would be like, I don't know, maybe like $15 is I think roughly about how much they were. And then this ILLO sketchbook was about $25, but this is the bigger version, and there's also a version that's like $20. So, and I think this is supposed to be 100 pages, and if this like ILLO sketchbook is 100 pages, then that is like a very good deal compared to like this one, because the Strathmore one, because it's only 48. So I would say in terms of like price wise, it seems pretty good. And so far I'm happy with like the sketching quality. It definitely bleeds, like people said that it didn't bleed, but like there's some bleeding here, but I just put a piece of paper in between the pages. Like I said, I don't care super much about that. I think still like a little bit of a better price versus the Strathmore sketchbook. So that's my final thoughts. Sorry I got so dark in here, but I'm hoping to draw a little more. I drew these to just kind of like fill out the page on this side. I'm not really sure how I'll format things because I am really used to like, you know, just one, I don't know, like a straight up and down page, I guess, that kind of formatting. So it's gonna be interesting with the square pages. Anyways, goodbye video. I love you all. You want to see something ridiculous, YouTube? I mentioned Sketchbox earlier. There's a fucking ad for it on my phone. I'm not even recording on my phone, I'm recording on my camera. This is fucking police state. I'm gonna block them. I'm blocking them because I find it offensive that you're listening to me.